Well, this is The Exceptionals, an attempt or an effort by Nuvama Private in association with NDTV Profit to bring you some of the most inspiring stories of India Inc. which have not been told as yet. What do you learn from this episode today is that we talk to a gentleman who's truly a rags to riches story and who has built a healthcare empire, if you will, which spans across multiple verticals in the healthcare ecosystem. We are at the house of Dr. GSK Velu, and I'm truly delighted to be talking to him today and learn from him what is it that it takes to build out a business like this. Dr. Velu, thank you so much for having us here.
I mean, it's nice meeting you.
The pleasure is entirely mine, but I would just want to tell our viewers that what we get from you talking to you today is probably an inspiring journey which started off with an up and down beginning to building the healthcare empire which straddles across verticals. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, sure. We'll attempt.
We'll attempt that. I look forward to talking to you, sir. Let's please head into the study. Thanks for tuning into The Exceptionals. It's an effort by Nuvama Private supported by NDTV, wherein we try and speak to exceptional entrepreneurs and get in behind their journeys. What drove them to reach the dizzying heights that they have in their first lifetime, and what is the outlook that they portray for the exceptional future that the country, the sector, and their companies or their enterprises hold. Our exceptional today is Dr. GSK Velu. He's a first-generation healthcare entrepreneur, founder, chairman, managing director of, amongst many other things that he owns, Trivitron Healthcare as well. And as I've written it down, his core public positioning: build affordable, accessible healthcare through indigenous medical technologies and parallel healthcare platforms. It's an absolute delight to be talking to him today and try and understand his journey. Dr. Velu, thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you so much.
Now, the pleasure is entirely ours. I've made a few points, but I want to start off, Dr. Velu, by talking about your entrepreneurial journey, because as I read about it, it's not been a linear curve. You made an attempt, come back to the corporate sector, then gone on another attempt, maybe even sold your stakes there, pivoted from one to the other, and currently you're almost parallelly running 2 or 3 or 4 different kind of verticals or enterprises. Just tell us a bit about the genesis of your journey.
I would say I'm an accidental entrepreneur, just that in my family, nobody knew what business was all about. So I did my graduation, post-graduation. I actually did all my education 2.5 years ahead. At the age of 19, I got into working. So initially in a medical instrument distribution company. Then I became a partner in the same company at the age of 21. And that is the time I actually discovered what entrepreneurship is all about. Just floating a company, going through all these nuances of how to run a company. Very early stage in cardiology devices and in Neuberg Diagnostics. This is how we started doing something. The first company I founded was called Allied Healthcare India, way back in 1991.
And you were very young then, obviously.
Yeah, I was just 21 years old. Then,
Okay.
So that is the time I learned what business is all about. Then at some point of time, I had to move on to do a corporate career from 93 to 97. I was in a multinational company where I learned how to scale businesses. Because if you really look at the US multinationals, even many years, the decades now, they're very good in taking an idea and scaling up globally and becoming multi-billion-dollar companies. That is a trait I learned from working for American multinationals, initially as a country head for India, later for Southeast and Southeast Asia. Then also I lived almost a couple of years in China. All that gave me in that 5 years a lot of interesting perspective on how to think business on a global scale.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you about some of those learnings as well. But beyond that too, I mean, I believe that company was Chiron Healthcare or
Chiron,
Healthcare?
yeah, it's called Chiron.
Okay, yeah, Chiron. Excuse my pronunciation. But my limited point being from Chiron Healthcare to doing other things and not a straight line journey, if you will, if I can call it that. I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm just saying it was not a straight line journey. How does the mind adapt, if you will, at a young age to variances in the entrepreneurial journey?
No, it's about always going after passion. No, you don't know. There is no monetary value for entrepreneurship ever. So you don't think, this is what you want to make us money. You like something and you go after that, and you start learning on the way, and you all start observing. Wherever you go, you start observing and try to think and absorb it and try to adapt. And usually entrepreneurship is always about going and meeting unmet demands. So that's in my opinion. If there is, when you see a gap, can we actually, somehow meet that demand? That's how any entrepreneurial journey has been. But with some level of innovation, whether it is in service delivery, it is process innovation. In technology, it's all about product innovation. So a combination of innovation and passion makes a very interesting entrepreneurial journey, in my opinion.
How cool. Okay. But you, I believe, my presumption is, and a little bit of reading that I've done is, that you, in the sector that you are in, or the sectors that you are in, even in the early stage of your life when you didn't have the size, you would have faced intense competition from MNCs, because that club dominated the healthcare ecosystem in India. How easy or how difficult was it to break that, if I can use the term, glass ceiling?
Yeah. So actually speaking, I work for a multinational company. At that point of time, Chiron, which became Bayer, ultimately it became Siemens. So this was a large multinational company. So we learned what multinational companies did not have in India. So initially Trivitron, when we floated in 97, the whole concept was generalist for specialist, because large multinationals had the wherewithal to control and cover the entire country. They could reach, they could have multiple warehouses, a large team and all that. But there were also single specialty medical technology companies from across the world, and they wanted someone to have these infrastructure and use them for distribution. That's how the idea of Trivitron was born, generalist for specialists. That was the methodology in which we formed Trivitron initially by building, and that's the reason by design, it became a multi-modality or a multi-product medical technology company. Right from the day one, we started focusing on imaging, in vitro diagnostics, intensive care, dialysis care, several of the even medical devices, implantable medical devices. All these, as a trader, you can be a generalist. You don't have to be a specialist. So that gave us the entry point, and many companies, single specialty companies, really medium-sized single specialty companies started trusting Trivitron for a national distributor. That is how our dream of medical devices was born. Parallelly, I also, basically in the year 91 itself, I actually founded a diagnostic laboratory in Calicut called Premier Diagnostics. So then in 97, we founded Trivitron. 98, I co-founded Metropolis along with, a doctor. So this basically also came. Both of them started. So by design, I just became a parallel entrepreneur. Two companies got founded almost the same time, and we started growing the dream together. And Trivitron.
Well, actually, you did that way back in 91, right? If you
91,
established a diagnostic
91.
company.
At the same time, I did too. I did the diagnostics. So this is just happened the early stage. Always habits die hard. So when you're done it at 21, and you can keep on repeating it multiple times. If, like you say, if you're a cricketer, you come back to cricket in some form or other. So the same thing. So the diagnostic services and medtech has been like two eyes for me. And if I don't have even one eye, I feel uncomfortable. So that's the reason all my life, these two are there. Everything else, we just really adapted what I learned from these two businesses.
Very cool. Question, just to rewind to 1981, right? You were 21 at that time, I presume. Sorry, I didn't want to reveal your age here, but per se, you said it yourself. But you were 21 then, and at 21, you were not from a business family, but you started one business, established a parallel business as well. I'm presuming capital was not available on tap then as it is available now. How did Velu think of doing so many things at that point of time, at that younger age, with that limited capital?
Yes, many a times it's opportunity. Initially, my initial two ventures were partnership with my first boss, my first Mr. Ravindran. So he somehow found something in a spark in me and said, as a retention strategy, he wanted to keep me as a partner. So it's how it started. But later you found when you become a boss with the partner, you get a lot of experience, but not really anything more than that. So then I had to move to learn more, I had to move into multinational career. So that is how the first 5 years I was learning from my first boss. Next 5 years with a multinational company. A combination of that experience helped me to scale other businesses over the past, say, 20 years.
Very interesting. The small other piece that I guess you did differently is that most people of that era, if they were in this sector or even some of the other sectors, uh, imported stuff into India, especially if the market was dominated by MNCs in various sectors, and distributed or sold those products in India. You decided to do it differently because I presume you saw that in India there is a chance or an opportunity or a need, a combination of all of these things to make products at scale, cheap, and sell both for the good of the country as well as a business opportunity. Would that be a fair assessment?
You can say it slightly differently because obviously I saw in China, that time they started investing in manufacturing. Though my desire was always to build medical technology manufacturing, like the scale what China did in late 90s and early 2000s. But when I came back here, the Indian medtech business, medtech segment itself was in primitive stage to some extent. So we had to really start with trading. If you look at Trivitron from 97 to almost up to 2016, 20 years, we were predominantly a distribution company with very little manufacturing. Only from 2000, past 10 years, we have scaled up. At some point of time, 2016, 90% of our revenues and profits were coming from distribution. Today, almost 90% of our revenues and profits are coming from manufacturing. So this transformation has happened 10 years, but we kept attempting. In the first 20 years, I wouldn't say successfully, but we kept attempting to do some level of manufacturing. Then finally, we decided we need to partner with our own partners. So we brought partners. Many of our Spanish partner, US partner, Japanese partners to partner with them to do the initial scale of manufacturing in India. Today, I think over the past 10 years, India is now in a very good shape to take this forward. So I think India, because we are the most populous country in the world, there's no reason why the medtech business cannot become as big as the pharma business. Because in the world, medtech and pharma are almost the same in terms of size. So, but in India, unfortunately, we still have 75-80% of the import dependency on medical devices and equipments. So, I think over the next 10 years, I'm very hopeful that the medical device will learn from our big brother pharma industry and become completely independent, and also export producing. So, today, medical technology is such you can't think a solution only for India. Whenever you think, you have to think global, because unless many of us as our brand, unless we sell it in other countries, we are present in other countries, doctors in our own countries don't trust our products. So there's nothing called Indian quality and international quality. Today, international quality is an absolute must to sell any device, whether it is pharma or medical device or anything. So we need to get our quality right, infrastructure right, our regulatory system right. Then the confidence on Indian products goes up, which I'm seeing it already slowly going up. But as the time goes by, I think Indian medical technology industry will dominate and probably become import independent and export producing like pharma industry.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about that because as I understand from you and from your team as well, that medtech is but a smaller piece of your own business. In your business, health services is the bigger one. So I'm going to come to that as well. But I do want to understand one thing from you, Dr. Velu. Most founders stick to a vertical that they have expertise in, right? In your case, you've done it very differently and almost by design, right? That you've not gone beyond a single vertical, but as you said, a parallel entrepreneur, but not just in one or two things, but maybe in 3 or 4 things. Why is that the case?
So basically, people say, even in my own team, my core team, all of them say, you're not a risk taker, you're a risk monger, They keep saying you take too many things at a time. But that somehow excites me to do things parallelly. And I've been, of course, you compromise something in your life, you have to spend a lot of your time taking. But somehow I learned this trick of being different in different boardrooms or different strategy rooms. So today I at least run 3 companies very deeply, which is Trivitron, Maxivision and Neuberg. Then apart from that, we have Kaveri, Apollo White, at least in the strategic and mentorship or director role, we have dental dialysis, super specialty. So I keep getting into these meetings in and out, but I need to wear different caps. So you have to play multiple roles. That I seem to, I enjoy doing that. And because there are some common thread, if you look at our business, the common thread is one person can do only so much. So partnership is the thread for all our business. If you look at all our businesses, we partnered with like-minded people, experts, legends. All these people come together, and my job is to really make them think. So almost all our businesses have partnership. I've not done anything independently on my own. So that has helped me to really think, and all of them have skin in the game. and they actually is as passionate as I am in scaling up all these businesses, and that has helped us to really grow parallelly in many of these companies.
In some sense, Dr. Velu, are you saying that it is better to have a slightly smaller stake but in a larger pie versus have the entire stake in a smaller pie? Because the partnerships that you're doing probably help you scale more. Is that the logic?
In a way, yes, because everything cannot be done by yourself. Or just, of course, for me, I'm the just single son single child to my parents. So I never had anybody directly, indirectly, tacitly, remotely related to me part of my business. Now my two daughters, when they come in, possibly I will have the first relatives. I have to learn how to work with relatives. Otherwise, all the executive leadership team, they are my family. So we work so closely amongst ourselves. And if you look at all our founding team in all these businesses are intact. And in many of these Neuberg and all, I'm very fortunate to have partners who really have helped scale up in the past 8 years what I couldn't do in 20 years. So basically that means you have multiple tentacles, multiple eyes, multiple hands to scale business. So that means you need to give up, say, at the end of the day, you are giving it to public. So along with instead of giving the entire thing to public, a part of it can be given to partners. And your ability to accept partnership and ability to allow people to prosper along with you helps you to grow multiple businesses.
Superb. Lovely to know. And, this is great for a lot of budding entrepreneurs in India, Dr. Velu, because everybody's trying to learn the tricks of trade from successful entrepreneurs. Okay. I want to shift focus a bit to your own ambitions at this stage, because this has relevance in multiple ways. You are presumably going to list a lot of your businesses as well.
Yes.
But my research suggests that there were 9 facilities in India, Turkey, and Finland. Now I learn that you're also present in the US, also present in maybe China. I'm going to have a presence somewhere else as well in Asia?
In Russia maybe, yes.
In Russia maybe. So, okay, now tell us a bit about this. Where is it that your empire, and I wouldn't call it a Trivitron empire because there are multiple businesses that you have here, but where is it that Dr. Velu's business empire sits right now? And what are the ambitions that you have now that you've moved from that 20-year-old kid who built 1 or 2 small businesses to what you've done right now?
So already we have at least 4 unicorns in our group, whether it is Trivitron, Neuberg, and also Maxivision, the 3 which we hopefully looking at $1 billion listing or more than $1 billion listing. Then also Kaveri, where I'm an investor and shareholder, is also looking at. So 4 companies over the 24 months probably should be going for listing. I do hope that will be, not again, as I told you, it's not my achievements alone, because all these are being done by very credible, my partners and other people who are really help these business to grow. So, and it's really, I can't even believe that, we could incubate companies in short span of time, and all of them are becoming, billion, multi-billion dollar companies in the market. Hopefully, if everything goes fine, that's our vision over the next couple of years. And even Trivitron in 2-3 years will be listing, starting from Neuberg, Maxivision. Then maybe Kaveri, whenever the promoters there decide to list in a couple of years, along with our other investors, and Trivitron. In that order, the 4 companies will go for it. So, and each one has the only thing, very interesting is I'm the only one common. Otherwise, we have exclusive teams, because otherwise, same team doing multiple things is not going to be focused. But I started doing in certain place, I do a deep operating role, but in other places, I do only a strategic advisory role. So that's, apart from that, we also have a small private equity enterprise, Stakeboard, which we again started over 10, 11 years back. And there we also be an investor cap, because all the time we have taken money from private equity. Then I thought, why can't we incubate a small private equity organization by itself? And they have also done very well. They are in the second fund. And the person who invested into my first in Trivitron in 2005, he actually manages that fund now. Mr. Chandrasekhar Kandaswamy. So he actually manages that fund. So there we also start investing into sector agnostic. That is where, though they very clearly tell me I should neither be my investment committee member, nor I should be making decision in
Why
that.
so?
Because simply entrepreneurs are emotional. So in all other businesses where I'm involved, healthcare, I'm emotionally involved. There, of course, they come to me, discuss, take some strategies, but decision maker is not me, thankfully so. So they are actually able to take decisions, because investor mindset is quite different. You need to be knowing when to enter and when to exit. But sometimes as entrepreneurs, we don't let go. We don't exit. So one of what you said, parallel entrepreneur, is because I'm emotionally involved in all my businesses. When I'm emotionally involved, you cannot exit that easily. So whereas that's the reason we kept this separate company as a private equity organization where they act like any other private equity. My job is I'm a GP and LP. Then apart from that, any strategic advice I give, but no decision of mine is enforced there.
Dr. Velu, how does an entrepreneur therefore battle this? I would love to know from you that if entrepreneurs and do get attached to business, right? When does an entrepreneur realize that, it is time to let go and it is okay to let go if something is not working?
No, that is failure. Let go is a different story because failure and success is different. You learn from failures. So every failure you have to learn. And actually, if you don't make the same mistake again, you are doing well. As an entrepreneur, our mindset is we will do 10 things. If 2 or 3 are going wrong, it's okay. But when 7 or 8 are going wrong, you are doing something terribly wrong. So that's the time you basically have to think through and stop doing things which you are doing very wrong. But otherwise, and I don't think any entrepreneur should start any business with the mindset of exiting. Maybe they can get diluted, they can become smaller, there are many other people come. Only why should they exit unless they feel, okay, I've done enough, I have other idea and I need this money to take this out and start another idea. Entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. I keep telling everybody who we now do a lot of M&A activities. In the M&A, I keep telling my people also, an employee can become an entrepreneur and be happy. An entrepreneur can never become an employee and be happy. Okay. So if he is actually incubated and we are seen and he's a founder or a co-founder of a business, and I don't think he can just let go and again go and take a job, then he will always miss something. Even in my own life, I was a small-time entrepreneur, then get into a multinational, but still I was missing something to come back into entrepreneurship. So I don't think any entrepreneur should sell a business, I think a business by selling it. He should be connected in it some form unless he has something more substantial and more interesting to do. He says, okay, I've done enough. I will not be able to scale up anymore. I have nothing more to contribute. Now I have something more interesting to do. Some founders have done it. They've moved from one business to gone into other business and scaling. But if you see, all these people are always doing something. Either they come out and start another business or something. They don't go and work for another organization as an employee. So it doesn't really excite them for entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is a feeling. It's a passion. You cannot let go.
Okay, but let me rephrase the question and ask it in a different fashion. When does an entrepreneur who's pursuing a business for a number of months, years, she or he, and if that business is not working, how does that person learn to realize and accept that this is not working? I have full passion in this, but it's prudent to let it go because it may not make financial sense.
That purely is a financial decision. If you continuously make losses for 3 years, I don't think any business can survive. In fact, in our case, even the second year, we think very, very carefully. So now some of these other new age business, I am not an expert in new age business where people can make money, no loss for 10, 12 years. We are all conventional long-term business people. So for us, 2, 3 years loss making is something which we can't accept, even in a segment of our business. Forget about the whole company. So as an entrepreneur, the same thing. When something you are not able to cook it up in a couple of years or maximum 3 years, so you have to let it go. If that is not scaled, it is not really given profits, because anyway, business profit is important to invest back, and profit is important to keep your employees happy. Profit is important for keeping your investors happy. So it's not a taboo word. It is the central principle of business. So if it doesn't come continuously, you have to let it go. So we do start some businesses and we say, okay, it's not working. Sometimes even 3 years we wait and we realize that we waited too long. So, but actually speaking, if a business does not grow in 2, 3 years, founders should find a way of letting it go, then starting something on their own. There's something else.
Do you have thoughts on this whole business model of burning capital and getting in subscribers or getting in subscriptions?
So I won't call that as an entrepreneurial business. That's an investor's business. Basically, investors have that ability to keep on investing money. Entrepreneur is part of it in a small way. If you look at, they all have single-digit shareholding, because I don't think a single individual will have that kind of capability to keep burning that money. If there are investors' interest for whatever reason, because usually the investor world has done a lot of analytics and a lot of analysis, and they have data, they have parallel case studies from across the world. So Amazon is being told as the first model, and today there are many e-commerce businesses are working. But I think, of course, that's the reason I always say startup is different. In a startup world, again, only investors have to burn money. An entrepreneur doesn't put his money. So he keeps putting money, and it takes time for innovation, a new idea to come into the world. It can take 5 years, even sometimes 7, 10 years. So their entrepreneur is just a founder, but he can't keep, substantial shareholding, 70%, 80%. We are all conventional long-time entrepreneurs. We are still hold, for us, anything means majority shareholding in a business, because we feel control is equally important in a business which you are passionately building. But if you are actually going along with the investor world, it's a different business model. As long as that means it's not one person thought process. There are 10 people sitting in the boardroom, or the experts from different investing companies are sitting together and taking a joint call. And the investors world, if you go and see, they put investment in say 20 companies. Even 2 are doing well or 3 are doing well. That takes care of the losses of 18. A founder cannot go with that mind, or an entrepreneur cannot go with the mindset, okay, let this company burn money for 5-7 years. If he can't show profit, then possibly that is the reason even in these new companies, the CEOs get changing. You may be a great scientist, but you may not be a great executive, a chief executive. And you may not be a great marketing person. You may be a scientist, but you don't know how to market your products. So that startup ecosystem is different. But a conventional ecosystem is different. You have to choose which world you belong to. And accordingly, you need to build your entrepreneurial journey.
Again, just reverting back to your own ambitions at this stage, do you believe that it's entirely possible that an Indian medtech company or a healthcare services company can become a global leader?
It's already happening, though we have not come to the global scale yet. But there are 2-3 companies. Even we have that aspirations of being a multi-billion dollar listing, and today we are talking about 2-3 billion, and we can even be a $10 billion, $20 billion company. Then only the global scale comes, because India has 1.4 billion people. Not only it has the patients or people whom we have to provide healthcare to, but it also has the clinical database. Today data is gold. So we have so much of data available, and today's world in healthcare is not just about medicine. It's about data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics. So all these, India has the right potential to build a medtech ecosystem, which ultimately not only India becomes self-sufficient, but it can become a global medtech destination. But
Dr. Velu, if that is your ambition, and I presume you are in a hurry to do this and not wait for 30 years to do that.
But yes, I may not have. But
no, I wish you have. Really. But that's a very steep J curve. How does that happen then?
No, that's what scale is always about M&A. If you look at any global medtech company, we should be bold enough to go and acquire international companies, which we are seeing it in pharma. We are also seeing in a small way in medtech now. So I think it will happen where we need to go and acquire large American companies, large European companies, because it's just the matter of you can't organically build all this. You got to really inorganically ramp up. And this is how the whole medtech ecosystem has been, or a pharma ecosystem has been. So I think Indian pharma companies, you have been seeing of late what Sun Pharma is doing, others are doing. They're really thinking big. And that is what is making them now globally successful. I think we have to learn from our big brother and start doing the same thing. So there will be some level of risk and some level of luck involved in it. But I'm sure finally, if you have a plan, if you execute it well, I'm sure there will be several Indian medtech companies which will become globally successful and attain the global scale.
From the house of Dr. Velu as well.
We are trying our best, and we do have, and for me, medtech is very close to my heart, because that's how I started my entrepreneurial journey. So, which we are thinking, we are also looking at larger acquisitions and larger vision to scale that up. And for me, our team is also believing it's time for us to really take larger strides, and hopefully in the next couple of years we'll be doing something substantial.
Lest this sound like a medtech conversation, health services, which is such a big pie of your business, and a number of, I believe, businesses in various facets out there. Talk to us a bit about that and the ambitions there.
The Neuberg today has scaled up over the past 8 years. Now we have become a national brand, and there are things now we are doing few more partnerships in, say, hopefully in Bombay and Delhi, where we want to strengthen our brand. Otherwise, if you look at South and West, other parts, we already become leader. And we have the really scale. Hopefully, when we list, we like to be the number 2 diagnostic company of Indian origin, which hopefully should happen by next financial year. So that is what we are hoping for. And we are very, very happy that we have these legendary pathologists and radiologists who are located in multiple locations, who are supporting this vision of And our really initially when we floated Neuberg itself, we said it's not revenue which is important, reputation. The reputation leads to revenues, So if you build reputation, and how do you build reputation? Do something which has never been done, and do it like, for example, when we started Neuberg 7-8 years back, the whole world was moving from earlier we were opinion-based medicine, evidence-based medicine. We moved to personalized medicine. In the arena of personalized medicine, the new diagnostic techniques are coming: genomics, proteomics, metabolomics, molecular diagnostics. So we started investing in this 8 years back when we started the company itself. Today we have become India's largest genomics testing provider. And we do have international ventures in Neuberg. We have in Middle East, Africa, and also in US. In US, we have an incubating center and a laboratory, a genetic laboratory, which gives us a lot of insights into what's happening in the personalized medicine arena, in the diagnostics. And a couple of years back, we also got into radiology, because today diagnostics is just not pathology. We need to have pathology, genomics, radiology, all coming under one roof, so that you are able to give a holistic diagnostic approach. Earlier, diagnostics is for diagnosis. Today, it is for prediction, for prevention, for diagnosis and prognosis. All you are dependent on diagnostic techniques. So this is where we are building Neuberg as a new generation diagnostic organization, with the help of really legendary pathologists and radiologists located in different parts of India.
Awesome.
And that's our vision as far as Neuberg is concerned. Almost similar we did in eye care. Maxivision also was founded in 2010. Now it's a 16-year-old organization. And now we have close to around 80 eye hospitals across mainly southern and western part of India. We are scaling that up. Both these businesses have now investors. In Neuberg, we have Kotak, and we have in Maxivision, we have Quadria. So both these businesses are scaling up. Then apart from that, Kaveri, I act like I said, I do like an investor, and that business is really scaled up phenomenally well from just 3 hospitals. When I entered, today we have 14 hospitals and over almost close to 3,000 beds. All this has scaled up over the years. They're really, again, very passionately built by founder doctors in multiple locations. So that business is also scaled up. Then the 2 businesses, we all, for us in the corporate health world, it's all our mentor and role model is always Dr. Pratap Reddy, what he has done. So these 2 businesses, we partner with them on dental and dialysis, and the way in which he's shown the world the health services. He is basically the father of Indian modern medicine. So where he has taken really lot of risks initially to build such a built enterprise. So that also gave us to really to look upon to someone who has really built businesses in difficult times. So I'm fortunate to have partnered with him in 2 businesses in dental and dialysis, Apollo Dental and Apollo Dialysis, which also is scaling up across India, but predominantly supported by Apollo, and I'm a minority shareholder in that business. So as I told you, we also have a private equity enterprise, which is mainly sector agnostic, which is not really only into healthcare. We do invest into healthcare, but we invest into other areas. So all these businesses are scaling up. So now again, the buzzword artificial intelligence. Now Trivitron, recently we formed a company called Trivitron Digital.ai, again focused on healthcare AI in some form. So to look at, because we feel healthcare in the future is going to be disrupted by in every facet by artificial intelligence and also by robotics. These
Could
two
you
are
talk a bit about it?
Absolutely. So today in diagnostics, if you look at pathology, we are using it in big time, whether it is for genetic medicine, for our genomic testing, or proteomics, metabolomics, all these artificial intelligence. Because when we deal with gigabytes of data, without AI, we can't analyze anything.
Okay.
So that's the reason why AI becomes a central part of pathology diagnostics. Even in radiology, look at any of this, whether CT, MR, PET, or mammography. Now AI modeling has come in. So the doctors are looking at a particular area rather than spending a lot of time. Earlier, a doctor can do, say, 20 MRI scan per day. Today, he can probably do even 50 MRI scan on 100 MRI scan because he has time. I don't think that AI will ever replace doctors, in my opinion, because it's like, can you go to the autopilot is there in a plane for so many years. But will you go and sit in a place there is no pilot, you go? You will never go. Same thing, without a doctor, there's no medicine. The central part of medicine is always going to be a doctor. But what AI does, it makes doctors to make smarter decision, faster decision, more accurate decisions. So it's more of an enabler than a replacer. It's never going to replace a doctor. So I think all doctors today, we all as medical professionals have to adapt, in knowing AI, And the robotics is the same thing. You can have robo, but still will be controlled by a doctor.
Yeah.
I don't think you can tell a robot to do what they like to do. So, a robo can go rogue and AI can also do that. A doctor controls this. But today's world, we were talking to some educational summit couple of days back. The academia is so much changing. And we have to, every 2-3 years, once we have to change our academic syllabus. The olden days, 20 years, it used to be same syllabus. Today, so much is happening in not only in healthcare, everywhere. So even students in the future have to learn all this. A doctor cannot say, earlier a doctor need not even know about computers. Today, if he doesn't know AI and robotics, he may not become a comprehensive doctor itself. So I think that the curriculums of medical colleges have to change. The applied science learning is going to be extremely critical in facing the future of medicine.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm at some point of time, I'm going to ask you for some health hacks as well, and try and figure out what could happen in that part as well. But this is interesting to know that the AI. So in effect, Dr. Velu, I mean, because India is such a vastly underserved country medically, the ushering in of AI will not replace doctors, but make doctors more efficient, so more people can be treated in some fashion.
Absolutely, that is the see. Otherwise, even today, our doctors, nurses, paramedical is, I think we are 1/10 of what is our requirement. So what is AI going to do is going to make more people access good quality healthcare.
Right.
So it's in fact, it's a great tool for the doctors to use AI and robotics so that, all these digital transformation in healthcare will ultimately ensure that the healthcare reaches every nook and corner in the country.
Super. Just a couple of questions on India, because you look at the whole healthcare ecosystem in India so closely. You reckon India can truly become a med tech, healthcare, health services global leader in that sense?
In health services, I would already call ourselves as growth leader, because one thing is doing the best, but doing the best in the most affordable price. India's healthcare cost is the lowest in the world. Not even our neighboring countries can reach anywhere there. So we are basically, that's the reason medical tourism or whatever we are talking about, the health value, medical health value travel is increasing. Today, people are not coming to India for just price, but is also for the quality of healthcare they did and the treatment outcome, what they get. So our doctors are brilliant. Even if you go to UK or US, it's fully dominated by Indian doctors. So I think our doctors are brilliant. And if you really give, our doctors are already innovating to make, even after 80% import dependency on medical devices, our cost is low. Imagine it reverses and we become 80% import independent, the cost will further go down.
You think it will happen?
Definitely should happen, because it's not, what good is a health technology or a medical technology if it is not accessible to larger section of the population?
No, but do you think this can happen? This 80% import dependency, can it reverse?
Should in the next, but
it should. But can it?
It can, but cannot be done only by domestic players. The policy should be in such a way that we should encourage even multinationals to come and import, manufacture here, and also incentivize them, and also in a way de-incentivize if they really are not manufacturing here. There should be a big differentiation between people manufacturing in India and not manufacturing in India. So I think other countries are thinking the same. Today, when we also go and put factories elsewhere, it's all about, everyone is saying produce here.
Got it.
Every country, however small, big, are there saying that why COVID taught us, the supply chain disruption happened. So why should medical technology or even basic medical equipments be imported? For every country says it should be done here. At least larger countries, by right, it should be produced there.
Got it.
So India, it's still being an import dependent is really not the way we should look at healthcare in the future. Pharma could do it and we should do it, and I'm sure we are progress. 10 years back, we were a little bit pessimistic. Today, obviously, we are optimistic, and hopefully 10 years from now, we can sit here and say, see, we have achieved it.
Hopefully, I get to do that conversation with you as well. One small question. The export of personnel, one is services, but the experienced personnel of India. I mean, I now see ads. There was an ad somewhere that wanted Indian healthcare professionals for home care in Israel, for example, or some other countries, etc. Could that hurt India?
No, see, it's the market forces. People will go. In fact, we should be happy that our people are going and serving the other countries. So, but now the opportunities are so much. It is coming. It is actually, unless it's extraordinarily compensating and really very lucrative, people don't go. Earlier, people used to go for menial jobs and low costs and all that. Today, Indian medical professionals are sought after by giving higher price than the locals. So they are going, and not that earlier Indians used to go because they are getting lesser price than the locals.
That's true.
Today, I think it's reversing. People are being in Indian nurses, Indian paramedical, Indian doctors are asked to come to other countries because their expertise is out of the world. So that is the reason they are being called to that. So as long as we are able to keep that, saying that we are going and commanding a premium for our brand India, I think that's really a welcome sign.
Okay. My final set of questions are three sets. I'm going to do an X versus Y with you. Then I'm going to go to Dr. Velu, the investor, because you did mention that while you're an entrepreneur and you may not be taking a part in the private equity piece, but you have a thought around it. So I would love to know Dr. Velu, the investor, and then I want some health hacks from you. I mean, who better than you to kind of give us some health hacks for what to do? So the X versus Y is this, that you maybe briefly answered it, but if you're going to list a few companies as well, if you were to chase milestones versus reputation, what would you choose?
Any day reputation, because the reputation leads to milestones. Without reputation, you don't even reach anywhere. Forget about milestones.
Okay. A very important part of your business is research and development. But as you list companies, you'll have to deliver quarter after quarter. Spends on R&D versus saving that in order to deliver profits. What will you choose?
That's a difficult question, because without R&D we can't. But I know in the public companies, obviously quarter-on-quarter results are important too. So I think today the real basic science should be happening in universities. When it comes into organizations, we should have definite timelines. We have learned it over the years. We have also overspent on R&D, and sometimes without really timelines set. So today we have learned. Now I think in the R&D structure itself, we need to have definite timelines for deliverables, because we as organizations cannot look at basic science. Ours is applied science with deliverables. So without that kind of a mindset, so that means timelines and deliverables are more important than having some vague R&D mindset.
Okay, important. You have global ambitions. Would you be happy being a mid-sized or small-sized or a mid-sized player globally? I know you want to be large-sized, but I'm just saying if you had the option of being a small or a mid-sized player globally versus the king of your practice in India, either in healthcare services or medtech, which one would you choose?
Again, a difficult question, but I think king of your domestic market is important before even thinking of global scale. But sometimes having global scale helps you to become even king of, like I told you in medtech. If you don't have a presence elsewhere, our own doctors you cannot establish your credibility. But India is a huge market. Here itself, we have a lot to do. But pharma has shown us we can be the factory of the world, but all of them are also present in India. But ultimately, in this answer, I have to give it in two different ways. In services, it's very local. You have to look at local dominance. But in medtech, you have to be a global player. So those two are different things. Services, obviously, being a king of India or queen of India is more important than in medtech. Being a globally recognized brand is a lot more important.
So, Dr. Velu, I'm going to try and get into the mind of Dr. Velu, the investor, right? Because while you said that you are not involved in the investing activity of a PE firm, but you run parallel businesses, you're thinking it from an investor lens as well at some point of time, or how have you. I would love to know from you the two principal businesses and allied businesses that you are in, healthcare services, medtech. What do you think is the rate of growth, the CAGR growth rates that stand in front of these two sectors for the next 5, 10, 15 years in India or elsewhere?
Yeah. Healthcare services, it's happening today because it's happening with the local demand. So it would continue to grow. I already told around 10 to 12% of organic growth in the CAGR if it is only organic. But if you can do inorganic, it can go even 25-30% of business. These businesses can grow in health services.
For the next 5-10 years, you think?
Even next 5-10 years, provided you have enough cash flow to acquire businesses and scale businesses. A lot of private equity activities are happening. Large platforms are getting created in multi-speciality. So I think a lot of activities are going on in healthcare. It's good for the country because ultimately consolidation is good. The insurance is coming. That is also really driving growth in healthcare. So this is a good time for health services. MedTech, it's going to happen. So it's really foreign few initiatives, but there are substantial large initiatives are being scaled up too. I think that is the future. In 5 to 10, in the coming 5 years, maybe health services But in a very long term, medtech businesses will scale even as big or even larger than pharma. That's my thought as of now.
Okay, just one follow-up question there. Is there a mismatch between what investors expect the medtech investments to deliver versus what the sector can deliver right now because it doesn't have scale? And therefore, where does the capital come from?
The medtech business has been, but I think now people are seeing it. Now again, they are now putting big money is going after only larger companies. When it comes to startup ecosystem, in a long way to go. We don't have the ecosystem which is there in Silicon Valley or in a Californian ecosystem is not here in India yet, because many a times medtech startups are all thinking about doing what is being done some elsewhere in a better cost or a cheaper cost. The original innovation is not coming out. So I think the universities like IITs and all these are now trying, and as the time goes by, I think original innovation will come. Then there will be some money going into innovation based investments. But otherwise, it's all about scale up investments. I think that will now catch speed once we start thinking about global acquisitions. Currently, Indian medtech companies were looking at really smaller, except few, one or two. So I think now at least the top 5-10 will start looking at larger global acquisitions. I think these businesses will start gaining momentum. Particularly if you acquire a technology and make it affordable in India, India itself will become one of the large healthcare market. So that will really drive medtech growth also moving forward. That's my belief.
Got it. Any investing lessons, Dr. Velu?
Investing, if I look at it from my investors, I hear from all my colleagues from the private equity industry is you should know when to enter, but more important is you should know when to exit. So that's what they say, because if you really time your exit well, you make reasonable returns. So not getting emotional when you are getting reasonable return, you should exit from the investor. From an investment is what, because at the end of the day, investors' life is different from an entrepreneurial life. Investors are managing other people's money. When they mean other people's money, the only thing the people have put money on you is for returns. So you should know when to exit. While of course you are doing enough due diligence before investing, but once you have invested, when there is an opportunity to exit, please exit. Is what I've learned, and this is what all my PE friends says, because all of us are now being tested to correctly time our exit.
Got it. Where would you invest currently? Where is it that you see a business opportunity in a big way, aside of healthcare and diagnostic medtech, because we know that you are present there? Where else?
No, that's what my investments, basically has been in businesses which I operate. Rest I'll give it to my fund. The fund is investing.
Let's say in your businesses also, there are 3 or 4 large ones. Where is it that within that sector also you see newer opportunities?
I think in all the 3 we are now investing. Basically Neuberg, which is a diagnostic company, eye care, and medtech. All 3 we are investing because each one is independent. They all have their investors. They have their path. So all 3 has their investment aspirations. And including if you look at as investors in Kaveri also, they are also got, now we have 3 investors in Kaveri. They have, so each of these businesses have their own 5 years business plan or 3 years business plan, and they keep scaling. And the opportunities are huge in healthcare as such.
Sure.
Each of the segment offer investments. As we talked about earlier, as long as you are not making big mistakes, and out of 8 things, out of 10 things is going right, then you are on right path. When someday, like in some of our companies, we have to take a pause because something has gone wrong. When something has gone wrong, we need to take a pause for 2-3 years, correct what we have done wrong, then again restart the investment.
Okay,
Every business has gone through that kind of a phase.
Okay, but I urge you to wear an investor lens and tell me, there are a few businesses which are coming of age or getting into the listed space in India at least, so that's where my relevance comes from. But there is an IVF clinic now listed. There is a chain of spectacles which has gotten private equity money, listing happening, all of that. The hearing aid companies are getting capital as well. Where is it that you see opportunities? I mean,
For the public market investors.
Or yes, per se, or even the early stage startup entrepreneurs, early stage startup investors.
The startup ecosystem investors.
Yes, where is it within the healthcare space do you find opportunities?
So basically, as if you invest in something you don't know, you do not invest. That's my advice. Because basically then rather give it to a fund or by experts who can actually guide you. We ourselves, speculating and investing, as I don't do that. Even in my public market invest is done by all our wealth advisors. They decide where to invest, because I think I'm not smart enough to decide that. In industries, when I think some money has been parked for investing, allow the experts to make the decision. On our own, I don't think we can make a call, because the industry is changing and there are so many global issues, so many geopolitical issues happening. So a normal investor speculating and investing is not a great idea. There are experts who have learned and they are spending their entire lifetime in doing right, smart investments. Better to give money to them and they invest and make money for you.
Fair call. Okay, I'm going to end with some health hacks, and you have to give us some health hacks, something that you believe you follow as a part of your daily ecosystem, which is helping you stay healthy and become healthier.
I think the first health lesson is start your day early. So we all get up at 5:30 and start your day by 6 o'clock. Then possibly, because that's the only time you find your one peaceful time for yourself. Second is at least you are able to spend an hour or 1.5 hours for workout or anything which you do. After that, you become busy in your life. So if you start your day early, I think you start healthy. Then both mentally and physically also, you are able to do that. So that's the first lesson of starting early is the first thing which I have been following all my life. Second is somehow find that 1 to 2 hours for yourself to do something. Either you do play a sport, you do gym, or you do walking or whatever it is. Because some people, when they come and say, I'm not able to find time at all, I sometimes find it because you can't find 1 hour in a day for yourself and your health. Because health is wealth. Without health, no wealth. If you can't find that 1 hour in a day, then you are really not doing justice to yourself. So somehow finding that 1 hour for really working out. It could be yoga, it could be sport, it could be gym or whatever. But minimum is that. If possible, even 2 hours is the way you have to give to yourself. Then I'm sure your health takes care of itself. Then of course comes the exercise is one, but more important is diet. Because Indian diet by nature is a lot of carbohydrates. And if you need to find, and again, we all talk about everybody is different. Now, everyone is going to some dietitian and following and are just reading something and say they tell the keto diet. I've also done all that. Finally, now I've done my own testing, genetic testing, or now we have gut biome and all that. What I thought is all great food for me, I found all of them are bad. So I have to let go. Then I can see my gut behaving well. So there is testing available now in the in the country now. Genetic testing available. Other allergy testing available. All that you should know what fits your body. It is no longer same that everything what fits for you fits for me. So once you know what you can eat, and again these antibody titers keep changing. Today sometimes I was eating egg all along. By recently when I did my test, they're saying I'm allergic to egg. After so many years, then I start no one, because every dietitian says eat egg. But finally, when you do a test, it comes misnomer. So finally, you need to understand what your body can tolerate and do it. And again, it keeps changing. Few years later, when you've eaten too much of egg, that itself becomes an allergy. And your IgG titer goes up. So then you have to let go and again start. So this concept of really watching your body and allowing and pay the attention to the body, because we are by making all this money and all that what we are doing is for taking care of ourselves and our other people, the families, members' health. So pay attention to health is the most important thing, and just watching our body, understanding what our body tells to us will make you a big difference in the way you live.
Thank you. One thing that Indians do and should not do, or that one eating habit, workout habit, whatever it is, but something that you believe Indians somehow just don't do it well enough as a health thing.
No, just our nature of India is we eat a lot of rice and wheat as the base. If you reduce, and that every doctor says, and that is I'm not going to tell anything different, but I'm going to say the same thing. Eat more vegetables or more protein. That automatically becomes healthy, and reduce the spice. That is the biggest problem of India. Salt and spice is also as dangerous as sweets. Sometimes we feel sweet is dangerous, but not salt and spice. So reduce the chili and garam masala are actually really very bad for your gut. So you have to reduce the spice. These are all the things I think slowly people are learning. But overall general health habit is always eat less spicy, which is the problem is Indian food is generally spicy anywhere, and lot of oil, lot of salt. So if you reduce all of this, I'm sure your health will be well taken care of.
I have one last question, Dr. Velu. The ability of science to help measure things in a human body has gone up exponentially, right? It's a wonder now when you think of what is it that we can do with machines and testing, which was never available 10 years ago. To your mind, I would love you to hypothesize that what could the possibilities be 10 years out?
Not 10 years. Even today we are following in, for example, just it so happened, we are following this Atlas as a new concept of longevity in Neuberg now. So what we basically say is now that science is giving you, there are only two starting points. If you look at a human body, it's off metabolism, off genetics, off you inherited from your parents, other off comes because of the environment, because of things you eat, what you breathe and all that. So for this, what you need to keep knowing what's happening in your body. The best two modalities to start is, one is understand your genetic mapping. Do one whole genome sequencing to know what you are prone to, what you are predisposed to, what will work for you, what will not work for you. It gives some level of indication. Follow that with the whole body MR. Now MRI is no radiation. So from head to toe, when you do each of the organ, we in fact in US, the longevity people anyway pay this, because longevity clinics are charging $50,000 to $100,000 just to make people well. So now this has to become more and more affordable. That's what we are taking in India. Of course, we have to start at some level, but at least doing these two for whoever who can afford, because we are spending money on so many other things in entertainment. The health, even if I'm just saying hypothetically even spend 50,000 rupees or a lakh per year, some of them can afford. And whom cannot afford also, government should find ways how they can do it in terms of doing this whole body MR and genetic testing. Then navigate. Once you know the organ, the whole body MR says your liver is weak or you are prone to some prostate problems. Then you can start nurturing the device. How do you really see? It's like human body is also like a machine. You should know each part of this one and how are they looking currently. Then we are talking about the CT calcium scoring. You can see what is happening to your heart now itself before the heart attack happens. So I think the whole healthcare should move from diagnosis. First is prediction, prevention and wellness is the way I think the diagnostic world will move, or the healthcare itself will move. We can't be dealing with illness all the time. We should avoid illness because the whole life is about living better. The quality of life should be better. I think there's enough technology available. We just in India need to figure out our own ways to make it more accessible and affordable, which is what companies like us are doing, and even government R&D institutes are doing. As we go, we need to make, I think 1.4 billion population no longer is a weakness. It's a strength. This makes India can become very dominant economy in the world. We are already becoming, and we can become number 2, number 3 economy in the world already very soon. It can only happen we have healthy individuals in our country. So health should be given all the focus what it deserves, and we should use the science, and now AI is available, so that is able to predict a lot of things which otherwise as normal human beings we were not able to predict. AI is able to predict. The machine learning is teaching us a lot of things. So with this, I think we can start spending a little bit more, either whoever can afford from their own, or insurance companies should do, or government should do, so that the entire healthcare model should go from illness focused to prediction and prevention focused.
An exceptional answer to end this episode of Exceptionals. But Dr. Velu, thank you so much for having us here, and thank you for all the health hacks, entrepreneurial advice, and more. Truly, truly amazing to talk to you today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking time, coming over and talking with me. Thank you.
Pleasure was entirely ours. And viewers, thanks for tuning into yet another episode of The Exceptionals by Nuvama Private.